Rarely, if ever, has independent India gone through a time like this. We have a medical emergency, we have an economic emergency, and the enemy is at our gates. And all of them together. Enough to make any country shudder. But not India. Geometric View takes a look around the country to see what has kept us occupied through this week and the past some days. Let's start from the south and with Kerala, a state with an immeasurable capacity for complexity. Kerala had imposed the most stringent lockdown in the country and had even deployed commandos when COVID patient numbers were in the thousands per day. Now that the state is leading the country in the number of patients on a daily basis with about 10,000 new patients daily, it has opened the doors and unlocked itself. The tourism sector has also been belatedly unlocked with a typical complexity. Tourists can use the swimming pool at resorts with any number of people but not go to the beach. Tourists coming into Kerala for 7 days or more must carry COVID negative certificates, but if you're coming for 6 days, that's not required. Figure that out if you can. From neighbouring Tamil Nadu emerged the disturbing visuals of a Panchayat President, Rajeshwari Saravanakumar, a Dalit, being forced to sit on the floor at the meetings of the Terkuthitte Panchayat near Kadalur. Imagine she is the President of the Panchayat. 73 years into independent India, that's the seat designated to a Dalit, the floor. Believe this if you can, tobacco farmers in Karnataka are going to be fined this year because they're going overboard in production. The Tobacco Board has fixed 88 million kilograms of production this year, and the farmers are most likely to come up with 100 million kilogram of production. They'll have to pay a 15% fine on sale proceeds of the excess quantity. Many farmers across the country are still unaware that India is facing a surplus situation in many farm produces, including milk, wheat, rice and sugarcane. In Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra, the chief ministers are in collision with the constitutional authorities. In Andhra Pradesh, Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy is accusing the High Court of being hostile to himself and his government. And in Maharashtra, the governor has written to the Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray asking him why he is keeping gods and goddesses locked down and even mockingly asking him whether he has become secular. While talking of gods and goddesses and temples, 32-year-old Busa Krishna Raju in Telangana, who had built a temple for Donald Trump, died of a cardiac arrest. Raju had been fasting and praying for Trump to recover from his COVID ailment. Goa, like Kerala, has unlocked its tourism sector, but there's a major hitch. There's not sufficient staff to man the hospitality units. Rewind and recollect those sorry images of people from other states trudging home 6 to 7 months ago. Many of them need to come back for Goa's tourism industry to be functioning in a full-fledged manner. In Gujarat too, there's a farm crisis, a milk glut. The cooperatives have 90,000 tons of skimmed milk powder to be sold, and exports seem to be the only way out. Meanwhile, the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation continues to procure about 20 million litres daily. Worse, the winter months are coming when milk production is poised to increase. Rajasthan is facing the unsettling news of unemployment rate hitting 17.5%, which is double the national average of about 8.35%. But that is hardly surprising given that the tourism sector in the state, which contributes 23% to the state's GDP, has been under lockdown for about 7 months now. In Punjab and Haryana, farmers are continuing their protests against the federal government for its recent farm reforms. From Himachal Pradesh came the sad news of India's former Central Bureau of Investigation chief Ashwini Kumar hanging himself. But surprisingly, the country seems to have hardly noticed. And in a positive, the Atal Tunnel was inaugurated, easily India's newest infrastructure achievement. The more the federal government tries to bring normalcy to Jammu and Kashmir, the more the issue seems to get complicated. In the latest development, regional parties in Jammu and Kashmir have formed a new alliance, with the objective of getting Article 370 and the special status of Jammu and Kashmir restored. In Uttarakhand, the tourism department has launched a smart tourism product called Workation, where people are invited to go and holiday in Uttarakhand, stay there and work online, blending work and pleasure, and the tourism department assures everyone of good net connectivity. COVID or not, the air quality index in Delhi is among the world's worst. So this week it was the turn of 9-year-old Lissi Priya Kangunjom to stage a protest. She had attended the United Nations Climate Conference in Madrid, Spain last year. Mention the word Uttar Pradesh and the word rape pops up these days. But this week, the University Grants Commission had something else to say about Uttar Pradesh. The UGC said that out of India's 24 fake universities, 1/3 were in UP. And in Madhya Pradesh, there is another farm glut, and here it is too much of wheat production. Bihar is going into elections, which gives people in that state another chance to elect those with criminal records as their representatives. In the first phase of Bihar elections this time, 319 of the 1,066 candidates have criminal records against them, which is exactly 30% of the candidates. But even that is far better than the outgoing assembly, in which 57% of MLAs have pending criminal cases against them. From Ranchi, Jharkhand, the National Investigation Agency arrested an 83-year-old Jesuit priest, Stan Swami, for alleged Maoist links. India had recently thrown out the Chinese mobile app TikTok, but throwing out Maoism, which is another Chinese product, seems to be a different ball game altogether. Chhattisgarh has done this week something that's a crying need for many Indian states. The state government has requested the High Court to notify fast-track courts that will deal with sexual offences cases in every district on a daily basis. Getting India's well-protected bureaucracy to function efficiently is a tough ask at any time. So Odisha's government has come out with an incentive program for bureaucrats who perform well, including carrots like foreign trips and preferred postings. Bengal's youth are facing joblessness like many of their peers across the country. So this week, there were research scholars, postgraduates and engineering students lining up for the job of forest assistant, a job that requires only a Class 8 pass. Beef eating has been a contentious issue in India, particularly over the past few years. But right-wing activists in Assam took that debate to a completely new level this week by protesting in front of the Guwahati Zoo, saying the big cats in the zoo should not be fed with beef. In Sikkim, the Lepcha tribe is opposing a hydropower project in Zongu, which they consider their holy land. The Meghalaya government has tied up with Israel for a project to improve livelihoods of its farmers. In Arunachal Pradesh, the foundation stone has been laid for the Nechifu tunnel close to the China border. And Nagaland has the curious case of a glut of teachers. The state needs only 9,000 teachers, but it has 20,000. For the state government, the additional teachers are a financial burden. Manipur is in cost-cutting mode owing to the COVID-induced revenue loss. And Mizoram and Tripura are locked in a dispute over construction of a temple in Fuldungsai village. I hope I got that right. Which is on the border of the two states and which both states claim to be their own. One quick look at India's various states and regions may give a very discordant or contrarian picture, but every once in a while comes something that strings together the total ethos of the nation, like the Kerala girl Devika, who sang a Himachali song and won praise from the Prime Minister, the Himachal Chief Minister, and more than 4 million views.
मायनी मेरी शिमले दी राहें चंबा कितनी दूर मायनी मेरी शिमले दी राहें चंबा कितनी दूर.
But then came a very well-meaning advertisement of the Tanishq brand of the Tata Group, featuring a multi-religious family, which was enough to divide a large section of Indian society on communal lines. Far removed from Devika's melodious voice or the Ekatva concept propagated by that advertisement of Tanishq or the oneness concept, India is grappling with so many ungainly and meaningless issues like where to seat a Dalit Panchayat president, what to feed lions at the Guwahati Zoo, or which candidate with a criminal record to back in the Bihar elections. Inflation going above 7%, the IMF warning of the India GDP going to contract by more than 10% this fiscal, unemployment going through the roof. Don't ask now. The enemy at the gate? Ask them to wait. India is busy with a million other things right now. Thank you.